Hello and welcome to GV Sidequest. This is our weekly video game show here at Geekverse. I'm your host, Dylan Musk, and I have with me the 19 of 80s, Taylor Field. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here on a wonderful new episode of Sidequest.
That's what this is. I'm very excited for this episode. I think we have a lot of fun topics. We got some news, a couple game announcements that kind of came out of nowhere, but our game's coming out this year. We have some games we've been playing, and then we have a fun main topic as well, talking about Xbox and achievements and all that sort of fun stuff. So yeah, it should be a good episode. Just one quick shout out here at the beginning, which is that over the weekend, I participated in a game jam, which is essentially you have the allotted amount of time to make a game from start to finish. And so I was able to do that. I made a game called Space Displace, and you can check it out. It's a free game. It's a space kind of top-down sort of thing. You're flying around, you're shooting some asteroids, that kind of thing. The theme of the game jam, Taylor, was built to scale. So it's kind of like you're supposed to mess with the scale of things. Either things are really big or small, or things change in size and whatnot. And so what I decided to do is I made the main mechanic of the game is your arrow keys, that moves your ship around, but then the WASDs, you can change the size of the window, like the game window that you're playing it on. So you're kind of shrinking the screen and making the screen bigger, and that will make certain levels easier and that sort of thing. So it's kind of a fun, weird idea. But yeah, the game is out now. You can go check it out on itch.io. I'll put a link in the description, but you can also just search Space Displace on itch, or you can I guess even search my name on itch.io, just Rapatika, and you can download it there. So that was a pretty cool experience. I, haven't made a lot of games, and so trying to make one in one weekend is pretty crazy, but it's a small little thing. You can beat it in like a minute or two. So yeah.
So do you have to think about the concept beforehand? Do you get any like downtime to kind of start prepping and doing notes and stuff? Like, do you get to do anything like prep work, or is it no, Friday night is when the competition starts, that's when you're allowed to start working on it?
Yeah, technically they say you shouldn't make anything, any art or any code or anything before it starts. You shouldn't have done anything on it. There might be exceptions to that. I don't know, for this game, for example, there's a couple things I've coded for other games that I was able to reuse. So I rewrote them, but it's I kind of already made that thing before that does this particular feature. So I don't know, there's a little bit of that comes into it, but you're kind of supposed to make everything from scratch. But yeah, Friday morning is when the theme is announced, and they're go. And you have until Monday at midnight to post it up there. So it's really you could spend as much time thinking and planning as you want, but then it's you're not going to have as much time to develop it. So I think I'm going to do a short video kind of talking about the process, because it was kind of interesting, just the breakdown of man, I have such little time. I worked on it on my own too. So it's okay, how much time do I want to spend on music and sound effects and art? Could I just skip music if I don't have time? I don't need music in there, but I ended up getting everything that I wanted to and then some. So I'm pretty happy with it. I outdid myself for what I kind of had my expectations of. I've done one game jam before. It was a month-long thing, so that was very much different, and it was on a team. So this was a very different kind of experience. But yeah, I'll send you a link as well, Taylor. You should check it out. It's kind of
yes, please.
Kind of interesting. So yeah, that's my one shout out for now. We'll talk about some other things later, but let's just get right into it here with games that we have been playing. I just have one to shout out today, so I'm gonna go first here. Over the last few weeks, Taylor, I've been playing some Pokemon Emerald on not on the Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advance cartridge I've been playing on my DS. But I was at a at a flea market in Kelowna when I was in, not Kelowna the most recent time, but at the start of July. And I went to, do you ever go to the flea market there in Rutland it's on Rutland Road?
Yes.
And
Yes, exactly the one.
There's a few people there that sell used games and whatnot. And this was not an original cartridge by any means, because it was $30, but it was I think it was a remake replica. It's a really nice green cartridge, so it's on a GBA cartridge. So anyway, I went and bought that there, and yeah, I've been playing that for a while. I think I'm maybe 10, 15 hours in or something. It's interesting going back to this, because I have played, what is it? Is it Omega Ruby was the 3DS remake?
Alpha Sapphire, Omega Ruby, I think.
Yeah, so I played the 3DS Ruby version, and so Emerald is kind of the third version from that generation, right? Where it's kind of I don't know, it has features from both of the games and then some added things as well. But it's weird because I've played a later remake, so I'm going back to this one, but it has like other features that game doesn't have. It's also been a long time since I played that Ruby one, so it's interesting going back to this and just like, oh, I remember some of these Pokemon, don't remember other things, don't remember some of these story beats. Because you're an Emerald fan, right? Like I remember you talking about this one before.
I love Emerald, and then Sapphire is like my number one.
Okay, you prefer Sapphire over Emerald, even though
Purely for nostalgia.
Okay, I like that you can admit that because I was gonna say I feel like everything I've looked into it is like Emerald just kind of has more than either individual version, so it's kind of like the best version. But yeah, the nostalgia definitely speaks true there. But the one thing that's really stood out to me, and I saw people talking about this too, is that I guess Emerald, one of the big things with it is that there's a ton of team battles in the game. Like you're fighting 2 trainers, like 2-on-2. Just yeah, and in the wild, in like gyms and stuff, you're doing a lot of that, and I really like that because it adds a little bit more variables to the battles, a little bit more chaos, and like trying to plan out who would be the best Pokemon for this given situation. And so I'm really liking that strategic element of it. But yeah, also the GBA, the graphics, it's so perfect. Like the limitations, the size, the pixel art, the resolution, everything is so great. The colors, I just love the look of this game. So it's been really fun to go through this, kind of revisiting it, but kind of also experiencing this, Emerald for the first time, truly. So that's been it's been a good time. When's the last time you booted up Emerald or played Emerald?
Ooh,
because if Sapphire was a nostalgia hit, like, did you come to Emerald later, or did you also have it kind of back in the day?
I got Emerald after the fact. I bought Ruby just so I could have it, and I actually have. It's funny. I have 2 copies of Ruby. I have this one that's actually not real.
That's so beautiful.
This is a fake one.
Yeah.
And I learned that because I was trading in some old games that I had to a guy who actually sells at that flea market.
Okay.
He's actually
might be the same guy, honestly.
His name is Matt, and his garage, he has a goal and a dream basically to open up his own old retro video game store,
which Kelowna desperately needs.
Yes, it does, but it's so expensive. So he hasn't done it yet. But he's turned his whole garage into this store. He's got shelves. You go in, games for days. He's got GameCube, Game Boy. Like he's got old consoles. It's so nice in there. I love seeing the games that he's got.
I gotta go check that out next time I'm in town.
I will hook you up with his address. Super nice guy. He opens up on weekends. I learned about him because he had tons of Pokemon cards when I was looking into Pokemon cards, and so I took this Pokemon Ruby in, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, this is a fake." He showed me how to identify it. I was like, "Oh my god!" And he's like, "Here, I got all these ones that are fakes. I got all these ones that are legit ones." He had fake Heart Gold and Soul Silver ones for the DS. Nice. But anyways, last time I played Emerald was definitely a good fair bit of time ago. But I remember in elementary school, me and my friend, he had Ruby, and he had... I think he just had Ruby, and he lent me his Game Boy, and I had mine. So I just Game Boy for a weekend. Traded his Pokemon to my Emerald, and then in Emerald I was able to clone, because Emerald had, you get to the after you beat the Elite Four, you get to this battle tower area, and if you use the computer terminal in this Pokemon Center to the battle tower, you could do some manner of steps and actually clone Pokemon. And so I cloned his Groudon so he could have his Groudon, and I could get Groudon, and he wouldn't.
Is that the big red dude?
That's the red guy, yeah. So
nice.
There you go.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to these Pokemon games, like they're so expensive whenever I go to game stores, and so I'm like, I don't really care about having an original one. I just wanted to play the game, so I was fine to get like what is obviously like a knockoff, not an original cartridge. But that's cool, man. I'm excited to go check that place out. I mean, I should probably limit myself because I could easily spend hundreds of dollars when I don't really need to. But yeah, I don't know. I it's just like a nice background thing. I haven't played a Pokemon game in a bit, and yeah, I just love the GBA, so I'm down for anything on that generation. So that's been a good time. But yeah, I think that's the only shout out I have for today, because really I've just been, other than that, just playing a lot of Mad Max still. Did you ever play that game when it came out?
I never got into it.
Yeah, it's really fun. I'm just enjoying going through that. But yeah, how about you? What have you been playing in the last few weeks here?
So I indulged in 2 games. One was, again, because when the Gears of War E-Day was announced, it kind of motivated me to get into Gears of War 5 and get back into that game. Which that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun to actually just it's such a smooth game. It feels so polished, and to be
Yeah.
able to take those mechanics and put that back into like that original vibe that that game has with Marcus and oh my gosh, why can't I remember?
Cat?
Dom.
Oh,
Dom.
okay. Which one
Marcus
is
and
Cat
Dom.
the name of the other character in the new one or something? Or did I make that up?
Cat, I think that is the character in the new one
Hmm.
because you got Adam, and I think Cat is like the counterpart. But I'm so out of touch with like the modern story, like because
Yeah.
it's weird because they brought like the OG characters, like they got Coltrane, they got Baird, and then you got like this next generation of characters that are working with them.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's good, it's good. But the main one I wanted to shout out was the Callisto Protocol, and this one
Nice. Okay. Cool.
is it was just something I've been waiting to dip my toes into. I did not want to buy this game by any means. I really wanted to
It seems like
wait.
not a lot of people did. The game did not do
Yeah,
very well.
that's true. And so Games Pass was the answer. So once it popped up on there, I downloaded it, and I really appreciate how uh tense it is. There's a few moments that are just freaky with the way that things are going on around you as this world is kind of falling apart. You're on this prison planet. I don't know. Have you played it?
I have not. The reason I reacted is because for spoiler for our main topic, I was looking through your achievements that you have, and I saw that you had a couple popped in Callisto Protocol, and I was like, I don't. When did Taylor play this game? So I wanted to ask you about it. So that's very funny that you are bringing it up here. But yeah, I've not even really played Dead Space. I've watched a lot of Dead Space. Like, I remember watching Saris play it through a bunch of it. But yeah, I'm not too familiar with these games. I did see that Callisto's on there, and I think I've kind of slotted it mentally for October, the spooky season, when I'm looking to play some more horror games, some scary games. But no, I haven't jumped into it yet.
Yeah, so it's I wanted to make the comparison to Dead Space, and that's something that I can't do. But I've played a little bit of Dead Space, and for me, Dead Space is the one that I would pitch over this. Now, this one definitely, obviously, there are similarities between these two franchises, but this one just felt like it got super repetitive. Now, I
Mm,
enjoyed, as I said, the aesthetic and just the story, being trapped in this prison and you're trying to get out, and there's just all this crazy mutated grossness going on. But yeah, it just feels like it is easily repetitive when I'm going through different motions. But I do enjoy the mechanics, and I'm not sure how the Dead Space games really incorporate many of these mechanics, but you can like you have the police that were operating, the prison guards had this like wrist device thing where they could pick you up
mm,
with you like using the force like a Jedi almost.
right.
That's because you would have like something on you that makes you restrained to them and gives them kind of control. And then you can upgrade your weapons, your melee weapon or your gun. You can be upgrading, and so it's a lot of fun when you're going around and you're just moving objects around or like force pushing these guys, or you're like smashing them with your baton or
Nice.
using your pistol. And yeah, there's certain things that are a lot more difficult and more combat oriented that I don't like in this game. And I don't say that because it's difficult. I just don't like the idea of like, oh, you're going down this gondola and you got three bad guys just like range shooting you with like their acid spit or whatever, and then you appear in front of them and you just got to go in a full on fight. I like it when it's sneaking around and you're trying to like decapitate, take them out silently and
Hmm.
sneakily, and just be more of like a horror game. And I think that's where a lot of people didn't like Dead Space 3 because it kind of turned into more of an action
Right.
centric game.
Yeah.
So this has those little beats in it, and I don't think it needs that. It's a little too simple, but yeah, I'm still playing through it, and I'm having fun with what I'm doing. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember a big thing with the trailers. They were just showing all the brutal ways that one you can get killed and like the just really gory deaths, almost like Mortal Kombat esque. But then also yeah, like the ways you can rip apart the enemies. And so yeah, maybe it's something that's more like style over substance, and that it all looks really cool when you're ripping enemies apart and even when you're getting taken out. But the actual mechanics are pretty simple. What do you?
It's a oh sorry.
I was gonna ask about the story and what you think about the general vibe of it, because that's something that was really interesting to me as well. Even just the setting being on what is Callisto, moon of Saturn, Jupiter, one of those two. which is a cool setting.
So I think I told you guys this story because Travis is there too. We're at the beach, and it's quite funny because the game starts off where you're a pilot, you're doing transporting cargo, and then like some explosions happen, and your pilot like blacks out, and then he wakes up, and he's in prison on this prison planet, and it was super, super late at night when I first downloaded this. I'm pretty sure it was after like a Call of Duty session.
Oh
So it was
man,
already
yeah.
like 2:30 or 3. I was like, I want to download this game. I downloaded it and I was going through the first starting little cutscenes, and like I was passing out, and I woke up when he woke up in his prison bed, and his character literally is like, I don't remember what happened. What's going on? I'm like, fuck, I don't either.
Super immersive.
Super
Oh, yeah.
immersive, yeah. But I think it's a really, really cool setting, and when you walk out of the prison, everything's like exploding and destroying. You can see other levels, prisoners running, you can see like the creatures running around too. It's super
Okay.
freaky.
Nice. Yeah, 'cause I think Dead Space Remake is also on Game Pass now, right?
Yes.
Are you going to jump into that instead, considering you're not super enjoying this experience?
I want to commit and beat this one.
Okay.
I do
Okay.
have Dead Space I think 1 through 3, whether it was games with gold or whatever. I know I have all 3 of them
Yeah, I
on
guess
my
the 2 and 3 are
downloads.
probably even just through EA Play, still available on Game Pass
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
cool. Nice. Any other things you've been playing, or was that the shoutouts for today?
I think that, and yeah, just regular good old Rebirth Island, just biding my time for Black Ops 6, which is the first Call of Duty I'm not actually buying after
Right.
many, many moons. Because it's going on Games Pass, I'm not going to buy it. And yeah, if it was a Modern Warfare sequel, I would drop that money and buy it. But yeah, I am
Why?
leaving
Just
'cause it's
because
Black
the
Ops.
shelf, the collection aspect of it, completionist angle?
Yeah, I mean, well, usually with Call of Duties, I've just been buying digital versions.
Okay.
And I bought the Modern Warfare ones because I like the incentives with the certain digital rewards that you could get with Warzone. And there's not really a lot with this. And as much as I love the zombies experience, the Black Ops kind of has expanded it in a way. Like they're preaching like round-based zombies is back, it's gonna be bigger and better than ever, which I know a lot of people love, but they got a lot of the things like the gumdrop machines and all this extra stuff that just kind of really pulls me out of it. I'm not super into it. I like the simple old school Nazi zombies. That's kind of my jam. Or
Okay.
what Modern Warfare did with the open world aspect. I think that was a great refreshing take to the zombies franchise. So, but I'm still gonna play it, and I hope we get Travis in there because I
Yeah,
want
I'm
to do
excited
some
for
round
that.
zombies with you guys.
Yeah. Do you know if there is? I'm sure there is something where, like Redfall and Starfield had, like their upgrade versions. You could spend like 30 or $40, even if you already had Game Pass. You could get this upgrade version that would, for the Starfield, like grandfathered you into the DLC, gave you a couple random collectibles. For Redfall, it was supposed to get you the DLC, but then they canceled it and then refunded everyone for that anyway. But does Black Ops have something like that? That's not like, okay, you're not buying the full game, but it's a way to squeeze like an extra 20 to $40 out of people like you who would, want to get all the extra content but don't need to buy the game because of the Game Pass angle of it.
Sorry, so how does that work again? You're not buying the game because you have it on Games Pass. You're buying the
Yeah, you're buying like what they call it for Starfield. They had some name for it, the Constellation Pack, I think. And so yeah, you got like a couple extra gun skins. It pretty much gives you the DLC, so it's almost like a seasons pass sort of thing. For Redfall, it was a similar thing as well, but it was like available day one. You could like pre-order it,
Okay.
so that way you could. There was still something for you to buy, even if you're playing it on Game Pass, essentially, for the people who are
Right.
like hardcore fans.
I guess Black Ops would be the first one to be doing that. I guess Modern Warfare 3 actually is the first Call of Duty because that's been officially released on Games Pass now. But I have not seen that for Black Ops. At least when I go
Okay.
into my menus, I'm still prompted to pay like $179 or whatever for
Right,
the
I guess they
Vault
still
Edition.
if they have a seasons pass already for those games, then there doesn't really make much sense to
Well,
have
they've
some other random thing.
Yeah, I guess that's what's interesting because I guess those other, well, I'm not sure about Redfall because the DLC was canned, but at least with this, they don't do seasons passes anymore for COD, right? It's just the battle passes.
Oh, well, same thing,
So
right?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it would be well,
Now
it's
are those
season-based.
seasons pass things or the battle pass rather, are those only for Warzone? Like, is that the only?
No, because the
I guess it's
guns
just
you get are
multiplayer in general, right?
exactly
Yeah.
everything multiplayer is what it's for.
Like, is there maps included in that, or the maps all
No,
like?
all the
Okay.
maps are released with like at the beginning of a season, and then like they do a mid-season reloaded where they throw in new
Yeah,
maps
more
and new
like
game modes.
cosmetics now and like quicker
Yeah,
ways to level up, kind of that kind of
yeah.
thing. Right. Okay. Interesting. Cool. Well, moving on then. I just want, this is probably gonna be a quick shout out, but I had to bring it up, which is that Amazon Video has announced that they are gonna be doing a anthology animated series called Secret Level that is gonna be based on a few video game IP. And I gotta bring it up because one of them that they announced is that they're making a Spelunky animated, not an animated show, but an animated episode, I guess, for Spelunky. Even if it is 10 minutes long, I will gladly take this, and I cannot wait for it. So I don't know what to really expect from this in general. I don't know the exact team who is making this show, but I just think it's a really fun idea. I think an anthology series for games is a great way for them to kind of test the waters and see what's successful, what people want to see, and it's a way for them to do smaller things too, because they don't have to commit this huge budget to something like Spelunky, which would be a very risky animated show to pitch unless it had like a very, very small budget. But they announced Spelunky and New World, which is the Amazon MMO. So that one makes a lot of sense in terms of, oh, it's Amazon who's making this. They can kind of do this show. It kind of does some world building for their game, but then it also maybe brings people to their game. So that one makes a lot of sense. So it was weird to me that they announced New World and then also Spelunky, but then none of the other games that are going to be involved in this. They just kind of tease that there's going to be PlayStation titles that are included in this. So a weird announcement to be sure, but man, I can't wait for the Spelunky thing. You know, Spelunky, for people who haven't played it, which is a lot of people, like there's not really a story. Like there is essentially like a context given to you for why you're going in these caves, but really the stories are just like you playing through it and having some fun experience or a story to tell about it. And so I feel like it is a perfect ground for that, where I don't really want them to even like try and retell what the basic story of the games is. Like I think they can just tell some random cave dive exploring experience and have a good time with that. And there's a lot of goofy characters. I'm really, really curious to see what the animation style is for this. I think it's some of the same team behind Love, Death, and Robots, which is a beautiful show visually, and obviously each episode is a very, very different art style. So I think it doesn't really tell us what these episodes are going to look like. I imagine New World would be a very realistic looking thing, but Spelunky, you could go very different directions. Even Spelunky 1 and 2, and then even these original Spelunky, which is like full-on 8-bit pixel art, all have very, very different art styles to it. So I'm really curious to see what they do. I hope they get Derek Yu, who's the creator of the game, who also does all the art. I hope they get him involved even for just like concept art or like base it off his art, because I would just love to see that art that I love so much turned into an animated show. So cannot wait for that. I know New World and Spelunky aren't really your cup of tea, but any PlayStation titles in particular, any characters or games or worlds that you would want to see covered in this?
PlayStation Worlds.
I know,
Eh?
as an Xbox guy, it's like,
Little Big Planet.
that's a great idea. I see. That's the kind of thing I want to see, because like, we know Death Stranding thing is happening. Ghost of Tsushima has like a movie happening. Death Stranding has, did I say that one? Horizon has some movie. Like, we already had Twisted Metal. Uncharted's already happening. Last of Us, like all these things. Now I think about it, goddamn, there's so many PlayStation things that have already been or are in the process of getting their shows and or movies. And so I hope this is a situation where like, okay, let's aim a bit slower. Did God of War get an announcement too? I forget if that one has been announced, but it just feels like one of those ones that should be.
Did.
But if it hasn't, like that, that's not even one I would want to see here. I think Little Big Planet is a perfect pick for this, because once again, the storytelling could be absolutely whatever, and if it is Love, Death, Robots-esque and it's like a 10-15 minute episode potentially, I think that's the kind of thing you would need. And that obviously, you know, in Little Big Planet they always had like character crossovers too, so that could be a fun way where you could have like a Sackboy Aloy or a Sackboy Kratos or something. That could also be Astrobot, I guess, and I think Astrobot would be another one that would be really good and fitting for what the scale of this thing is looking to be. And those make more sense for like this kind of animated style too, I think. So I don't know, I'm hopeful for this. And I think because Amazon did, what's the superhero show called, Invincible, right? And people seem to love that. So I think that that's a good sign for the team behind this. But yeah, any other thoughts on this one? We don't have much information on it yet. I just had to bring it up because of the Spelunky factor, of course.
No, I think it's good. More animated projects.
Yeah. I know these aren't technically PlayStation anymore, but I still associate Crash and Spyro with PlayStation kind of things. Too. And I would love to see I would even take another Twisted Metal thing that is more cartoony and silly and like animated and just like a different. I didn't ever watch the show, so it's hard for me to comment on the tone of it. But something that is just like a simple little, like just one battle from Twisted Metal, like from one of the games, but turned into like a 15-minute like Mad Max-esque like huge battle. That would be sick. Like that would be so much fun. You don't have to worry about a story. It's just cars attacking each other, you know? That seems perfect. So very curious to see more of this. I don't know when this thing's going to come out, next year maybe. That would probably make sense, maybe even the year after. So we will see what happens with that. But that's a pretty cool announcement. Moving on to a couple game announcements. Actually, let's do that after our first break. But first, I don't know, Taylor, what is the best way for someone to support this podcast? If they like what we do, how's the best way to keep the lights on?
Well, you need to have an internet connection, and you got to type in www.patreon.com. Oh my goodness. Or you can just listen to the ad break. That also helps. But the better way is to go to Patreon and get ad-free. But
after you go to patreon.com, you should search Geekverse podcast, right?
Yes. That's very, very important because there's a lot of options, but the only option that counts is Geekverse podcast.
Yeah. So go there. You can get episodes early and ad-free, of course. We also have all sorts of retrospectives up there you can check out. We have bonus shows. You can join in our After 9 show, which we do once a month. We had a fun discussion on the weekend. Everyone talking about just the summer movies that they've been seeing and everyone's thoughts on Alien and fun things like that. You can also leave a review to help the show grow. You can join us on Discord. It's a good place to hang out. We're always talking about the latest gaming news and shows and movies that we're seeing and watching. And I don't know what's going on this week. We got a newscast this week. We just did Alien Romulus review. That's up now for everyone who listened to Isolation. Go check out that review. What else is dropping on the feeds this week?
Alien rankings.
Alien rankings. Yeah, that should be a good time.
Yeah.
Are you including Isolation in any of your rankings, or do you keep it just the movies?
I mean, I could probably slide it in there. I mean, why not? You and me retroed the game. I wasn't initially, but now you mentioned, I think I could. Feels worthy.
Why not, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, there you go. Now we're going to throw to the other ad break, and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Let's talk about a couple game announcements here. All things that stem from the world of movies and TVs, getting some crossovers here. So first up is this studio by the name of Retro Realms. Has 2 games coming out. A Halloween game, like the movie Halloween, and then also an Ash versus Evil Dead game specifically. I think they're specifically calling it that, like based on the TV show, rather than just like Evil Dead as a series, although Ash is a playable character here, of course. And so these are 2 retro, kind of like 16-bit art style sort of games, retro style, 2D platformers, maybe hack and slashy, bit of like a beat 'em up type game. And the idea here is that both these games are coming out at the same time. You can buy either one of them for like $25-$30, or you can buy them as a combo pack together, and then you can like cross stuff over. So you can play as Ash in the Halloween game, or vice versa with, what's the guy from Halloween? I always forget these characters' names.
Michael Myers.
Yeah, Michael Myers. Thank you. Freddy, Jason. I don't know where these people come from. So yeah, it's interesting. I think the trailer for this looked great. Like I think the art style looks fantastic. I don't know how fun the gameplay is gonna be. Like it looks pretty basic. I think if you're really deep into these IP, it'd be really fun. I'm sure there's tons of references in there and fun unlocks, and really just the aesthetics are top notch. But what did you think of these the trailer for these combo of games?
Yeah, I think as you said, the aesthetic, it was a lot of fun and it was really, really nice visually. Deciding if both games are going to be very different from each other, I don't know. I guess it really depends as a fan what aesthetic you are looking for and what you prefer. I don't know how well it's going to do though if you were to buy both of them. That being said, It works for Pokemon because they sell
Okay,
like
well, I don't know.
they,
I don't know if we can look at Pokemon for how well this is gonna do, but I like the comparison at least.
Uh, I would love to actually try it and play it, but I don't know if I would be able to justify dropping the dollars and buying
Yeah.
it. But I do love the crossover idea. I think that's a lot of fun, especially
Hmm.
because they're two very different universes to just pitch together and put Ash inside the Halloween universe. That's a lot of
Yeah.
fun, and vice versa. Michael Myers and again, there's pre-order DLC, which is pretty cool. So to me, that shows that okay, maybe there is some future kind of content they're going to be expanding with this game. But I just worry like, okay, how short is it? Is it going to be super repetitive? What is the main goal in here? Like, what do you get? What do you get when you get to the end of the game, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I am curious to see how these things do. I think it's like $60 Canadian, like plus tax, to get both of these things. So it does
Mm.
feel kind of steep for what these games are. Maybe they are extensive, but they just don't look that extensive to me. They do seem pretty basic. I do compare it a little bit to the TMNT game that came out a couple years ago. That had a lot of multiplayer, which I think was where a lot of the fun came from. Shredder's Revenge, that game. But I really enjoyed that, and I don't really like that genre. So I do feel like this is kind of in that same pocket, and it seems like that same kind of developer love nostalgia angle that they're going for here could really work. The crossover stuff's great. You mentioned the pre-order bonus. I think what it is you get Lori, who's like Jamie Lee Curtis's character from Halloween, right, in there, and then character from the Ash vs. Evil Dead TV show, which I haven't seen, so I didn't recognize the character, which is a little like I would have preferred. I already kind of forget her name, but from like Fede's Evil
Kelly.
Dead.
I
Is
think
her
her
name
name is
Kelly?
Kelly. Yeah.
Wow, that's I don't know why I didn't expect it to be Kelly for some reason, even though I did watch that movie recently. But yeah, I don't know. I would have preferred something like that, but it does seem like more characters are coming down the road, and I don't know if they're gonna nickel and dime us for all of these additional characters. It seems like maybe they will. So I don't know. I don't know if I have enough love for these series to want to drop the as you mentioned, like the dollars for this particular thing. But I think it is really cool, and I hope these games do well. And if they come out in October, I honestly could see myself just impulse buying them because of the
Mm-hmm.
season of it. So they are supposed to come out this year, which is interesting. So yeah, those look interesting. They look all right. We'll keep an eye on those. And then the other one was this game just announced today or yesterday. It's called Kong Survivor Instinct, and this is a game set in the kind of Kong universe, of course, where you play as a little guy. You play as a survivor, a regular human, and you're kind of going through what looks very much like a post-apocalyptic type of world. Like, seems like there's very few people in this world. You're kind of going through, and it seems like the general idea here is that there. What's the name of this big spider kaiju character?
Oh, Celia, Celia,
Celia.
Celia.
That name sounds too
Scilla?
nice for how disgusting this monster is.
It's Scylla. I don't know how you would pronounce that.
Celia, Celia, yeah.
Celia, Scylla.
So yeah, Celia therefore seems to be the kind of main antagonist in this. So you're kind of having to dodge Celia's attacks, big strikes, crashing buildings on top of you, that kind of thing. And it seems like Kong is going to come in here and save the day, help you out, knock Celia out of the way. And I'm guessing at some point, like, because Kong is very, very narrowly in this trailer, even in the first place, but it kind of seems like it would be a bond that you're building between your character and Kong. And I don't know what Kong has to do with your character and why you'd want to protect him. But I'm guessing at some points, like, Kong will lift you up onto some building or move you around. It doesn't seem like you'd ever control Kong in this game. Seems like you are supposed to be this survivor character, this human. But what did you think of this trailer for this game?
I was not expecting it. It kind of caught me by surprise. I'm just gonna say it might not be Scylla, it might be Kumonga, might be the other spider.
Too many spiders to keep track of.
Yeah, a lot of spiders. I think that the gameplay mechanic looks pretty interesting and something that I was not anticipating. I know where I stand when it comes to a Godzilla game. I know exactly what I want. I was sharing that in the Discord earlier. But as far as I'm concerned, this is something that I would still be interested in trying. It seems like it's got a cool story to it where you're a guy trying to track down your daughter who is supposedly missing. And I'm I was a big fan of the Monarch show, and so these expanded stories that take place outside of the main movies, I do find them interesting and engaging. And so this being, for whatever reason, it's after Godzilla versus Kong, and so Kong is back on the surface and he's fighting a little bit, and it almost looked like your character when you entered the boss fight, like he activated or I don't know if it's something you could just pull out of your pull out from thin air whenever you need, like if your ability's charged up and you can just summon Kong or something like that by activating like a device or something or other. I'm not sure, but that's how it felt to me in the trailer, and maybe it was specifically just a cutscene for this battle sequence to unfold. But I'm curious where Godzilla falls into play, if he will in here, but it was titled a Kong game, so this is definitely, in my opinion, a step up from that Skull Island fucking nightmare game that we got.
That game that they just pooped out onto the eShop pretty much, eh?
Yeah, that and Smeag or Gollum, those two games are a match made in heaven.
I'm still waiting for the right discount on Gollum. Even 70-90% off that they've done is not enough for me. So I'm waiting for it to go to like $5 or less. I think that's when I'll buy it and finally check it out. This game is. So you said the setting. Oh, why does this game feel so post-apocalyptic? Is that like that's not the vibe I watched? I don't watch all these movies, but I did watch it's fucking Icy King. What was the newest one? Kingdom of Ash. No, that what was the one we reviewed this year? What the hell is that movie called?
Oh, yeah, the Godzilla and Kong, the New Empire.
The New Empire.
For sure, it's New
That
Empire.
Such a bad subtitle. Yeah, I was mixing it up with Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. That's where I was getting the ice from. But like, it doesn't seem like a post-apocalyptic world to me at all. So did the vibe seem weird to you in this game? That it looks like Last of Us, the way you're going through these destroyed buildings and there's, a couple kind of bandits that are fighting you, but you're not like seeing other humans.
It kind of did, but at the same time, like this world, I'm so used to seeing just the destroyed cities, and you're roaming around through destroyed areas, and yeah, post-apocalyptic.
But it's not like it's like a mass extinction event. Like it's just like some people die, but it's not
true. And that's where I'm curious what the story is about, because maybe this city where your daughter is missing is like under lockdown because the spider creature won't leave, and it's like taken over the city, and Godzilla's not going there to do anything, and that's why Kong kind of just pops up to maybe save the city. So I'm sure maybe there's some kind of tie-in there, and that's why it's so post-apocalyptic. Because in the show, the Monarch show, of course, they were trying to clean up San Francisco after the first movie, but it still did feel post-apocalyptic like they wouldn't let just anybody into the city, and there's there's
lockdowns and things like that. Yeah, yeah, that's okay. That makes sense. I mean, because I think it is a cool setting. It's just not what I was expecting for this. I do think if anyone hasn't watched the trailer yet and you're just listening to us describe it, like, I do feel like visually this game does look, lower budget. Graphically, it's not quite as strong. It's not a AAA game by any means, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I do think the gameplay looks pretty cool, actually. The way you're going through these environments, it almost seemed a little bit immersive simi. Like there's different ways you can kind of figure out these puzzles to get through these certain areas. It does seem like there's a lot of puzzle solving in terms of like, oh, there's some rubble in your way. How are you going to get around it? How are you going to unlock this door? Using explosives to blow open doors. I don't know, a lot of cool little things in there. So I'm pretty into it. Like this looks really fun to me. Once again, it's a price tag thing, but this is another game that announced just today, coming out this year. They have a 2024 in the trailer. So I'm curious when it's going to come out. It just feels like, I don't know, maybe it doesn't have a huge marketing budget behind it, which would make sense if it is a smaller game once again. But I don't know. I'm really liking to see like these big IP, these big movie IP being given to what I assume are smaller teams who presumably love these characters and have wanted to make games about these people and are, I don't know, making something cool with it instead of that Kong Skull Island game that you mentioned, which just seemed like a really lazy cash grab that was not even a successful cash grab in the first place. So I'm into this game. Do you think you are going to pick this one up? Like, is this a day one? You got to wait and see more? Is it a wait and see the price? Like, where are you at with it?
I need to see the price. I would not, as much as I would like to try it, I would not be rushing day one for it. If it was, well, if it was the right price, maybe, but I feel like this is also something that could probably go on sale really, really fast. And so that makes me apprehensive.
Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, I looked into the studio that's making it. I'm not familiar with, and I didn't recognize anything that they've done before. So a little bit of an unknown quantity, but I don't know. Hopefully, this game is pretty good. Once again, that was called Kong Survivor Instinct. And then I didn't actually put this in our notes, Taylor, but I'll just throw this at you because I just saw this because it's a rumor. But I saw a rumor that it looks like, well, obviously, Xbox, Microsoft purchased Activision, and along with Activision, there's a ton of random ass license games from back in the day. And it looks like the rumor is that Xbox might be looking to try and revive some of the licenses for some of these older Marvel games. I don't know if you've seen recently, but like the old Deadpool game is like very expensive for people to trying to buy it right now. I guess hot off of Deadpool Wolverine, but this could also mean Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. Those games could come back into the shop. And along with I'm sure tons of old Spider-Man games. I know there's like Fantastic Four games. There's all sorts of licensed games from back in the day. So I think this would be great because people have been talking about that for years. Like, okay, with the Marvel craze, all these Marvel games coming out, a lot of these Marvel games aren't doing super hot, like Guardians and Midnight Suns. But then there's and Avengers, of course. But there's other ones like Spider-Man and Marvel Snap that are very successful. And it seems, PlayStation has their exclusive. Nintendo got Ultimate Alliance 3 as their exclusive. Where's Xbox? Why aren't they getting in the mix here? They do have Blade coming out now, so that is one of their things. But that is maybe a little bit of them acquiring that studio rather than like going for it on their own. But I think this would be actually a great way for them to have some Marvel presence on their platform if they just revived it for Xbox and not for the other platforms. I think that would be a thing that would flock people to the console in some way. And like I desperately want to get Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 again, and I could buy like a 360 version or a GameCube version. I see them all the time at game stores, but then you can't really get the DLC, and a lot of that stuff's gated or like exclusive in a weird way. So it's just hard to get those games anymore, which is too bad when the licenses expire on things like that. But man, I would love to see that. I think that would be really cool if they could get some of those games back up and running. And I think any game, we hate to see games that get delisted and lost to time like that. It's just too bad, especially for Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. That still play pretty well, still look pretty decent. They can get away with it. So I don't know. Any thoughts on what I mentioned there?
I think that is a huge gold mine if you were to be tapping into those old titles like that and just be giving them life again. I think that is the right thing to do. Yeah, so I'm there for it. Xbox needs to have some more Marvel titles, if you ask me, and let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Okay, with that, speaking of Xbox, move into our topic of the day here. So, Taylor, I've had this topic on my calendar for a bit, and I wanted to do it with you a couple months ago, and then Xbox announced the layoffs of all those studios, and I was like, fuck Xbox. I don't want to talk about Xbox right now. I don't want to talk about my love for like previous Xbox stuff, but the time feels right now, and I think the timing for this is we're talking about Xbox achievements, just like that kind of basic feature there. I think it's timely because I just recently crossed 50,000 gamer score. And I know that you, when I was looking at you also, I don't know if you crossed it recently, but you're also like just above 50,000. So we're at like a very similar achievement number, which is a funny thing to see. But yeah, I guess just very basically, like when you, back in the day, playing your 360, what did you think of Xbox achievements as like a new feature for video games? And how do you feel about achievements today in 2024? Like, do you care at all when you see them pop? Do you turn off the notifications? Do you still get excited? Where are you at with achievements?
Back in the day, yes, achievement hunting was something I was very, very into, and I would always make a point, like I would pop my game in, I would look and see, okay, what achievements are here, and if there were certain things you had to do in certain missions to get those achievements, I'd be doing them. I was really, really into that. And then that kind of has transitioned into more so I keep the notifications on because I like to see them. And I'm not actively hunting to do the achievements, but there are certain circumstances where I can tell, like, okay, well, this way this level is set up, if I do something like this way, I know this will probably be an achievement, because some achievements are a lot easier to do nowadays. And I will try just to get my gamer score up overall, not necessarily just for completionist on a game or just to get the achievements. It's more so just to get the achievement to boost my gamer score. I'm not actively trying to increase my gamer score because Xbox has that, hey, this is where you rank in the month for your friends for
Right.
how much gamer score you have. I don't really pay much mind to that. I'm just doing it for fun for myself.
If you do, I think you'll see me number one. Like with all the Game Pass things that I play, I'm like always top of my friends list
I
there in the
believe
gamer
it.
score kind of thing.
Jessica used to, I think it was back in Target days, like she was just
Mm.
mopping the floor with me. She was
Man, I
always
don't
my
think I
number
have her
one.
on as an Xbox. I gotta add her on there, and I don't
Hmm.
think she's playing Xbox these days, but just to historically go check it out.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I'm just looking through my achievements right now, and yeah, there's a lot on here, and there's not many games that I've 100%ed
Mm-hmm.
achievement wise on here either. But I like that it's the same for PlayStation with trophies. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Uh, but I've always kind of just, I'm biased. I like the achievements, and there's definitely some achievements that I am proud of, and I have one achievement that got away, and I've never been able to go back and do it, and it's that one hurts.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. We'll circle back as we love to do. The one that got away. I love that. Yeah, I feel like I have a very similar story to you. 360 achievements back in the day. I remember that was like such a cool thing for me. I don't know. I feel like even before I had a 360 and was getting achievements, that was still something I like to do in games that I was a really big fan of. Was like with their in-game achievement systems, their completion, their checklists, all those kind of things. I would always for games I really loved, I'd want to do everything I could in them. And so when that just like became an official feature, it was a thing that made a lot of sense for me. And I feel like I kind of romanticized it a little bit because I would go over my cousin's place. He had his 360 before I had mine, and it just seemed like a really fun thing to do. And I remember doing some achievement hunting with him, and when I eventually got my 360, I was into that too. Not like I wasn't renting games or buying games just for the achievements. It was more like, okay, I already had this game, let me try and get all the achievements or get as many as I can, or just look through the list. What are some easy ones that I can get out there just to increase that gamer score kind of thing. And I guess I kind of had a blank period there because I didn't have the Xbox One, so I was just out of it for an entire generation. And then coming back with the Series X, I'm still really into it. I really love the achievement system as I do the trophy system. And I wish that Nintendo would implement something of their own. Because obviously the third-party games, they wouldn't have to even think about it because they can just, have the same list brought over there. But I think it would just add a lot for certain Nintendo games as well. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So I don't know. I still get that dopamine hit whenever I get an achievement. And I don't really achievement hunt anymore. But I guess usually for me, if I've played through a game and I'm at like 80, 90% after I've beaten it, and it's a game that I am not like disliking and I'm ready to uninstall, I'll always check that list and see, ooh, how close am I? How easy is it going to be? I think like both the Hellblade games, because I played those recently, I was very close to getting like all the achievements in them. But then I look and it's like, get every single collectible in every level, which would require me to play through the whole game again. I'm like, no way, I'm not doing that, even if I only have one or two achievements to go. But a lot of the time I will go for them, and I think it is especially, like as I said, with playing a lot of Game Pass things, it's just I don't know, that's always a little mini game that I can kind of, a game within the game, so to speak. So yeah, I'm still a big fan of them, even if I'm not a quote unquote achievement hunter. But I don't know, there's something about achievements that just, like Steam achievements, they never really hit for me. They just don't have the same dopamine to them, and they do pop up on your screen. They have a little sound effect, but I've like never cared how much Steam achievement points or whatever they call it. I've never cared about that value. And with trophies, just because I've only ever owned a PS4, I'm just so out of it that my score, my overall trophy count is so measly that I don't really care to get it much higher. But yeah, something about achievements is like it's fun to keep track and be like, oh, I just crossed 40,000 today, or it was fun to see that 50,000 beat. And Taylor, issue challenge to you. I just recently took over you, I think, because I think especially with you being in the Xbox One generation, you were getting achievements that all the time. I was behind for a while, but I think once again with all these Game Pass things, I have crossed you now, and I have beat, unless in the last few days you've been going ham and I missed
No,
out, but
I
yeah,
haven't.
I think I officially have more achievements than you, which is kind of, it's a fun little point of comparison because I feel like I would always look at your number and be like, damn, Taylor's crushing over there, and now I'm in there in the big leagues with you with the 50K mark.
50K, it feels good.
Which, yeah, if you think about it, that essentially means like 100% completion in 50 games. Obviously, it ends up being spread out across more games, but that's kind of a pretty big number for one platform, I would say.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about some of our favorites at this point. And I mean, I've got to start with, what is the one that got away? Tell me that story.
Okay. Now, Call of Duty zombie achievements are some of the most craziest fucking things.
I don't know if I have ever looked at those. I'm curious.
The Easter eggs are absolutely nuts.
Okay.
So there's regular zombie achievements like an Ascension, pack a punch a weapon before round 8. You got to work as a team to do that, and someone's got to make sacrifices so that you can actually pull that off.
Right.
There's what's another one that we got here? Fire pack a punch ballistic knife at a downed ally to revive them from a distance. So buy every weapon off the walls in a single zombies game. There's all those different types of
Those
things.
are really creative though. Like I think those are really fun ones. Like buying every wall
They
weapon.
are.
That'd be a fun challenge run to do. So that's good. Like I think that's some games are really lazy with achievements, just like beat chapter 1, beat chapter 2.
Exactly.
Beat the game on normal, beat the game on hard. But I think when games get really creative with them and like give you a challenge that you wouldn't otherwise think to do, that just adds so much to the game. So those are some cool ones for zombies. I like that.
They're very, very nice. And it's the Easter egg ones that are the most difficult. And each one in Black Ops 1, each map had that. You had Call of the Dead, which is that snowy one where George Romero was like the main zombie walking around. And doing that Easter egg was a nightmare. But I remember going on to, I don't even know if it was Reddit. It was just a forum back in the day in the early 2000s, or sorry, mid 2010s, because I would have been in high school. I'm with my friends. After school, it was like, okay, we're gonna try. And it would be like 5 hours of all 4 of us together working through this Easter egg. And then when we're done and we get the achievement at the end, it's like, man, that felt so freaking good. And when I look at it today, and I'm looking at that specific achievement for doing that, it's oh, where did it go? I just had it. It was like 1.67% have completed this.
Nice.
And to know that I'm like a part of that, it's like, yeah, that feels good. But the one that got away was on the moon. There was
Ascension, or is that a different map?
It's called the moon. So you actually go to the moon.
Crazy. Wow, okay.
You go to the moon. Yeah.
Is there
and that-
different? Is the gravity different? You're like flying around? Nice. Okay, that
gravity
sounds
changes,
fun. I gotta
yeah.
check that out.
It's a wild time, and yes, you can go into like the space station, stuff like that. So that was basically a 2-part Easter egg. You get all the way through the main Easter egg, and then it continues on. You do the next few steps and complete the back.
And sorry,
half
by
of
doing
it.
these Easter eggs, like you just have to go to certain rooms and like interact with the thing, right? Usually is what it is.
Oh, not necessarily.
I remember on Ascension, it was like there's little bobbleheads, and you had to like go knife them, and they would like spawn in different spots. But
Yeah. So in this case, let's say there was the jungle. I can't remember what it was called exactly, but there's the jungle level, not Shinonuma, but it's actual jungle. And you had spike moors, so it was claymores with wooden spikes on them. And there were these 2 tunnels on the map, and one of the tunnels had holes along its walls in a specific spot. So what you had to do is you had to put a spike moor down facing those holes, and you had to lure specifically a fire napalm zombie down that hallway and have it explode, and then it lights up and hits the wall. And that's just one of the things that you'd have to do. Other things could be like your buddy is up on this railing, he knifes this glass bottle that's frozen to the railing, the bottle falls, and you have to be under it and hit X to catch it. If you don't and it breaks, you lose your progress. You got to start over.
Crazy.
It stresses me out thinking about all this stuff. But on the moon, me and my friends successfully did the first Easter egg, and we got that achievement, and we were continuing to do the next Easter egg on the map. And we just needed a ray gun, I believe it was. And my friend pulled it from the box, but he didn't get it in time because he was also cutting zombies. Like, oh, we need the ray gun for this next step, but he couldn't get it in time, and then we all got downed, and we we died, and I was like, fuck, and we never retried it since.
Wow.
I just don't have the strength to go back and do that one again. I would need a full dedicated squad, but
Yeah.
yeah, they kept that up with Black Ops 2. There was like an underground mining site that you go to, and it turns out to be like this Midwestern underground site with like a maze and like a
Wow.
Midwestern saloon and stuff. It was a lot of fun, and that was another achievement, like survive like a full wave inside the maze against the zombies. And there's like a haunted witch inside this haunted house in there too. That was a lot of fun, that map.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I want to go check out some of those maps. I don't know if I want to go.
they're
and
good maps.
Do all the Easter egg hunting necessarily speaking, but that's cool.
Yeah.
I think the first one that comes to mind, very random for me. The first one that comes to mind when I think of Xbox achievements is Resident Evil 5. Very randomly, I remember being at my cousin's place, and we had rented this game for the weekend. This is my memory. It could be, maybe it was a longer period of time. I'm not sure. And over the course of this weekend, we went through and beat, because it was a Resident Evil 5 was a co-op one, and so I remember we'd do you'd have to get like every single collectible, like all these freaking garnets and gems and random spots. You'd have to upgrade all the weapons to like golden weapons, or at least get like the golden Gatling gun or something like that. And just like I don't remember, I really don't remember the specifics of it in the way that you can remember some of these zombies ones. But I don't know what it was about that game, but we were just obsessed with it and trying to get 100% completion. It was just such a fun goal for us, and so I feel like we had to play through all the levels like multiple times and figure out all these things. And we had like guides open. I feel like some of these guides were kind of limited too, so we needed like YouTube videos to show us where like certain things were. And it was just such a fun time. And I feel like games like that, and Army of Two was like another favorite of ours. It was like these perfect like third-person co-op split-screen shooters were like the bee's knees back in middle school, high school days. And yeah, Resident Evil 5 was like a really iconic one for some reason. And then I remember when I eventually got my 360 as well, I did it again. I think with another friend of mine, McCall. I think we did that same thing again where we went through and got 100% completion in it. So I've got 100% completion in Resident Evil 5 twice on different consoles for whatever reason. And it's funny how little of that game I remember today, even though I clearly played a ton of it. And like that was only like 10, 15 years ago or something. So I'm curious if they do one day do a remake of that and I pick it up and replay that game because yeah, I had some great memories with it, and that was a very, very fun time. So I don't know what it is about that game, but that is like the first achievement that comes to mind when I think of my time there. And I think so. I got like 1,000 gamer score, and then when I was looking at it when I was checking my list before this episode, I think they added DLC at some point, so I like don't have all the achievements now, which is always frustrating when that happens. I remember Halo 3 was one of those where like they just kept adding achievements to that game over and over and over again. And I got all of them again, but then they just keep adding new maps, and I don't even know where all these achievements come from. I think a lot of them are like multiplayer achievements. But yeah, just I remember Halo 3 was an iconic one as well, of course, because of going for recon armor and having to do all these things and beat these levels, all these skulls activated, everything on legendary, and then like multiplayer stuff. There were so many in Halo 3. That was probably one of my favorites as well when it came to achievements, just because I love that game so much, and there was so much to it between the multiplayer, single player, Forge mode, that even just having more to do with the checking off the check boxes, and then when you add ODST in there as well with like the bonus maps and that kind of content as well, there was so much to do in that game, and still have not done it all, but I don't know if I ever will at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's 3 games I believe on my list that I have 100%ed for achievements. Okay. The first one was Assassin's Creed 2.
Okay.
That one.
Nice.
And Kirkland's done that too. That's one we talk about, we're proud of.
Okay.
The other one that I have is Overcooked 1.
I saw that on your list. And that's such a funny one. Did you remember much? Like, how was that? Is there weird achievements in that, or is it more just like get gold stars on every level?
I don't remember what it was like. I do remember though, Madison's friend was visiting, and this is the first time I met her, and she was big into gaming, and so we were playing Overcooked, and we just got super hooked, and she's like, oh wow, there's only a few achievements left, because we did the main story mode that they had. She helped me beat the game, and then we just kept playing, and we just finished getting all the other achievements, because nice. I think there was like Let's see what we got here. Complete a kitchen in the underworld. Complete a kitchen in versus mode. So they're very simple achievements. There's only a couple in here. Be awarded 3 stars in every kitchen.
Right.
And so that was a lot of fun. Then the other one that I have is Transformers.
Nice.
I think Rise of the Fallen is the one I have, or maybe it was Dark Side of the Moon. Where is it on this list? Either or. It was a Transformers.
I was scrolling through your
game.
list and I saw that as well. I just wrote down Transformers. I didn't write down the.
Yeah, and that was back in high school, and I don't think I had War for or Fall of Cybertron. I think there was War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron, both. Yeah, War for Cybertron, that's the one. I played that one. I really loved that game, and so then I played this other Transformers game based on the movie, and that one was a lot of fun. The concept of just being able to transform into your vehicle as you're running around and transform back into your bipedal form, and it's a shooter game too, is a lot of fun. And playing that based on the movie was great because this game based on the movie had multiplayer as well in it as well. So you're playing against other people online. It was just a really, really awesome game and a good time. And that was just one that I looked at and thought, man, these achievements aren't that difficult and there's not a lot of them. So this is definitely doable if I wanted to complete it, and I ended up going through it and completing it, and I'm glad I did because there's a lot of games that are just dead games now, but it's cool to look back and think, you know what, I got all those achievements, so I don't have to worry about that ever again in my life, even though the multiplayer has been closed down.
That is a pet peeve of mine. I think multiplayer achievements should just be banned or should somehow be separately integrated into the games. I think that's such a annoying aspect of some games where it's just impossible to get those achievements anymore because servers have been shut off. Or I think that's a big thing I saw people complaining about with Fable 2 or 3. There was something where you had to connect to the internet and some online feature with it, and that's the only way to get that achievement. And so there's a lot of people who have 99% in whatever Fable game this is, but they just can't get that last one because it's not available anymore. I just hate that. I think there is some fun multiplayer achievement things to be had, and I think something like zombies that seems fine to me, even though it's multiplayer PvE sort of situation. But yeah, I think straight up multiplayer achievements, especially when they're just get 100 kills with an assault rifle, that's such a boring achievement. Make that some incentive in game. It gives you an XP bonus, but don't make it an achievement. Come on, that's not worth it. So yeah, those are some pet peeve ones for me. But I guess you're right. They do feel more special, I guess, because they're exclusive essentially, no longer unlockable achievements.
Yeah. I have one more. I'm going to shout out one proud one that I did not work for. My friend came over back when we had Guitar Hero, and he played Through the Fire and Flames on Expert. He's fucking skilled at this shit. He got me the achievement for me just to have on my profile.
Wow.
But yeah, he'd rip on that guitar. It was great.
Man, I wonder if I'll ever beat that song, because back in the day I was hardcore into Guitar Hero 3. And I think my best on Through the Fire and Flames on Expert is 70% of the song. So I made it through that initial section that is Savage and through various sequences. But yeah, I forget what exactly is occurring in that 70% ish area, but it just is so freaking hard. So it's one of those things where man, you can't play that game on anything but a CRT. You need an old fat TV that has no lag. You can't play it on a modern TV. So I'd have to have the right situation set up. And I don't think I have, I don't have the peripheral anymore. So, and if you ever played it Scandia or something, goddamn, those are savage, how bad those guitars are. They are just ripped to shreds. So yeah, I don't know. I wonder if I'll ever be, I always felt I eventually would beat that song someday. But now the older I am, it's I don't know, my reaction time is probably worse than it was when I was playing in middle school, high school. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever beat it. And my wrists, I feel like they would just shatter these days if I were to do that. I would have so many wrist issues from climbing. So that would be a good, I should set that goal for the next 2 years to finally beat Through the Fire and Flames. That would be a good goal.
On the charity stream. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah. If anyone still has that, we should definitely plug it in. That would be a good time. When I was going through your list and looking at ones that stood out to me, I mean, you actually brought up some of them that I was going to bring up already. But I feel like half of your gamer score must be from like Halo, COD, and Assassin's Creed. Like those 3 series combined together, because you have like all those games you've played, and you don't have 100% achievements in all of them, but you have just like a few hundred in each. And like a lot of these Assassin's Creed games or Halo, COD that I looked at on your list, a lot of these you have like 800-900 gamer score, and some of them might have DLC, so it might have more than 1,000, but you have a lot in so many of these games that I feel like your overall ratio is probably so much from those 3 series, which I just find very fitting and very perfect.
I wish that I could kind of filter them out and look, because like Black Ops 1, 985 out of 1700. Again, a lot of achievements added for
so
multiplayer.
close.
Master Chief Collection, 1740 out of 7,000. 7,000's fucking
That's
nuts.
That's actually crazy. I guess it is 7 games, or is it? Because Halo 3 had more than 1,000, so I wonder if that would be. How many games is Master Chief Collection again? Is it up to
at
Reach?
least
ODST?
5.
Yeah.
Because it has ODST in there.
Crazy. That's insane. That must be the record for like highest or single game with highest achievement number in it.
I kind of think so. We'll Sea of Thieves, 5,460.
Holy
so there's a lot
that's
there.
crazy. That makes sense, but it's surprising to hear still.
Yeah, but no, you're right. Like, there's a few Assassin's Creed titles where I don't have a lot of achievements in there, but there's a few games. State of Decay 2, 860 out of 2,400. And there's a few Black Ops that I really have low ones, but you get those achievements through doing the campaign, and I mostly have just committed just to the multiplayer side of those ones. But yeah, there's a few in here that are high. My Reach is 1125 out of 1,700. Advanced Warfare, 1,070 out of 2,000. Gears of War 2 is high. Black Ops 2 is high. Yeah, so there's a few heavy hitters in here, which is nice to look at.
Yeah, some other ones. I mean, for me, my list also, like COD and Halo, take up a lot of those. A ton of achievements from those 2 series. I have over 1,000 in Midnight Suns now, which is cool. There was DLC achievements there, and one frustrating part with that one is I remember when I was playing through that, a lot of the I think it was from the Deadpool DLC specifically, a lot of the achievements were bugged, and I think like they eventually resolved the bug, but like you would have to replay it in order to actually get the achievements now. Like they can't retroactively give it to you anymore. So there's some that I'm just kind of locked out of. And then one of them is just completely savage, where it's like you need to get 100%, because there's like a light or dark system in that game. You need to get like 100% light and 100% dark. So that would require 2 full playthroughs. And even on my one playthrough, which is all the DLC, I could never get to 100% dark, even though I always chose dark as option. So I don't know. One achievement in that game would hold me back from ever getting the 100%. And those glitched out ones, unfortunately. But that was fun getting a lot of those in that, especially with the DLC, adding a few more in there. Over 1,000 in Borderlands. Once again, don't think I have 100% in it, but have a lot in there. I saw that I have 990 in Oblivion, which actually makes me so mad. Like I need to go back in there and get an extra 10, because I think once again DLC brings it over 1,000, but I should definitely go back in there just to hit that over 1,000 mark. Geometry Wars has really fun achievement lists. Like really makes you play the game in weird, creative ways. Randomly, this Game Pass game from earlier this year, Little Kitty Big City, I got 100% in because it took like 3 hours to get 100% in that game. And I don't think it's 1,000 gamer score one, but that was a fun, like, once I beat the game, a couple of the last things to do were kind of just fun little collectible things, so that was a good time. And then I think maybe my biggest flex, or like, I don't even know if it's a flex because it's maybe just embarrassing, but Spelunky and Spelunky 2. On Spelunky 2, I have 100% of the achievements on Xbox. I have all the trophies on PlayStation. I have all of the achievements on Steam and on Nintendo, like the Switch port of it. Since Nintendo doesn't have that built in, they like put in a UI thing for the achievements in the game so you can still get them. And so I have 100% on the Switch version too. So I have 100% on that game 4 times. And then I think on Spelunky HD as well, the original Spelunky, I think I also have all of them on Xbox, all on PlayStation. I think all 4 platforms, once again. I think I have all of them. So
that's a big flex.
It just goes to show how much I love Spelunky 1 and 2, that I've done everything in those games multiple times. And I am happy to do it. Because once again, it's a fun achievement list where there's a couple in there like big scorers, one where you just have to get a huge score, which never unlocks anything in the game. The only reason to do it would be for the achievement. Another one that's really hard is to get 0 score, pick up 0 gold throughout your run, which is super hard because if you're just like, there's sometimes gold hidden under like snow or leaves, so you might just accidentally walk on one you don't see, or if you put a bomb anywhere and it like flings gold across the screen and it hits you, then you pick it up. So that's like a really fun challenge in both the games. They have both those achievements in there, so really fun achievement lists to go through. And yeah, that's definitely my biggest flex. And anytime if those games ever get ported to, I don't even know what else exists. I guess that's every platform that exists, but I don't know. Anytime that comes out on a new platform and I can re-download it and it doesn't do cross save, I'll definitely go back in and get everything all over again. So shout outs to Spelunky. Starfield, I was surprised I have 81% of the achievements in Starfield. I'm sure when the DLC comes out that number is going to drop, but I'll also play that and maybe get some more. Not Xbox, but I think I got 100% in Spider-Man and Ghost of Tsushima. Once again, Ghost had DLC, so that might take me out of the 100% mark. And then I also wanted to shout out all of the Arcane games, Dishonored and Prey and Deathloop, all have really good achievement lists that really just make you play the game in creative ways, do things you wouldn't normally think of, and all that sort of fun stuff. So definitely shout out to that team over there, always making good achievement lists. Let's take our last break of the show. We'll be right back to talk about some more achievements. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Where am I at here? Okay, so I wanted to bring this up. When I was going through my list, did you look through your entire list? Did you go like start to back and just briefly look at all, like see all the games?
I did a quick brief look, yeah.
Was there any games that you just forgot about or forgot that you played?
There was a couple in there. I think a couple sports games that kind of caught me off guard.
I saw you had like a lot of NHL ones. I feel like you had just
NHL
couple
was a
hundred
big
gamer
one.
score in each of these kind of things.
That was a big one in high school with me and my friends playing together. But yeah, there's a few surprises in there that I definitely forgot about. A few really like one-off games that I thought like Fracture, Lost Planet. Lost Planet's a really good one. Yeah.
Nice. There was several on mine that I was like, man, I do not remember playing this game at all. And one had like achievements in various Gears games, which I feel like that was probably just Briggs bringing over the games and playing them at my house on my console. That's probably what was going on there. Dead Rising 2, I don't remember ever playing that game. Godfather 2, like what the hell? I've never played that game in my life. I don't know how I have an achievement in it. Very strange. And then also this, Taylor, I had achievements for Assassin's Creed Revelations 2 and Brotherhood. I promise you I've never played these games, so I have no idea why I have these. Once again, maybe a friend brought over a game, but like I can't picture a world where I had a friend who had brought over multiple Assassin's Creed games, and I don't think I ever rented them. You know, this is like before Game Pass, so it's like I wouldn't have played them through there. I don't know where the hell those achievements came from. So there was a few of those that I was just shocked to see on that list. I promise you I've never played those games. I don't know where they came from. Weird. And then I went back and saw that it's probably not the first achievement, but the last game on my list was this game called Elo Milo, which was like a 360 arcade game. I think it might have been a free one that like everyone kind of played back in the day. And it's probably not the first game I played on my Xbox, but it's probably because I'm guessing like let's say I played Halo 3 first, and then I played Elo Milo, got an achievement, and then I played Halo 3 after that and got another achievement. It would like bump Halo 3 up on my list, I'm guessing, it would put it as like a more recent thing. And so I think Elo Milo is like the oldest game on my list, which was a very random one because I barely remember that weird little like puzzle platformer kind of game. So moving on, or did you have any other games or achievements that any stories or things like that?
No, I think that's everything.
So I think, well, we were talking about online achievements, and I'm kind of against those. I also think games that require you to do multiple playthroughs, like I can understand, like, okay, beat the game on the highest difficulty, but I think ones that are just like unnecessarily requiring you to play through the game multiple times, and like maybe it's like for a collectible, and like the game doesn't have like a chapter select, so you can't just like go back to a chapter that you missed and do like that. Those guns can be kind of annoying, but unless you're achievement hunting, it's probably not the end of the world. I also feel like achievement hunting is like not really a concept anymore. I feel like people don't do that these days or don't talk about it. Maybe it's just like people our age aren't doing it, but like younger, people in high school have more time are still doing it. But I do feel like with Game Pass being what it is, this is like achievement hunter paradise these days, where it's like, man, I have hundreds of games at my fingertips that I don't need to buy or rent. I can just play them right now. And I feel like that for people who are into gamer score, I feel like this must be like the prime era to just crush those achievement lists.
There is a huge benefit to doing achievements right now, is because when you do achievements through Games Pass, you get reward points, and those reward
Right.
points can be actually used to buy um, uh, Xbox Live. You can buy gift cards that you can use in the Xbox store, or you can enter their sweepstakes. There's a whole array of different things you can do simply by playing games.
I should really get signed up for that. I feel like I feel like I
Yeah.
see the notifications sometimes, and then I click them, and it's like, oh, you got to go here and sign up. And I'm like, I don't want to do.
It's
any of that
worth it.
stuff. It's probably worth
I
it.
have redeemed probably like $30+ worth of gift cards through doing achievements, and so for me, I totally
You could buy the
justify it.
Halloween game.
There you go. Exactly. It's nice when you go to your store and you just like, oh, I got a $5 gift card I can slap down on like that battle pass for Call of Duty or that character pack.
Yeah.
Like it's really, really handy. So that's something that is definitely incentive to doing these achievements. But there's definitely still I think a lack there of people really engaging with it. I
Yeah.
remember I can't remember where this. I remember this story, but I can't remember where it was from. But someone would pay for their Xbox Live through this system simply by playing the games and doing the achievements and stuff, and they would be
Wow.
like going crazy and doing different games and everything. I can't remember where I heard
That's
that from.
crazy. You must have to get like probably be really efficient with the games you're playing, like really playing like the easy 100% achievement games, that sort of thing to make enough progress with that. That's pretty crazy. I remember because my cousin was a big achievement hunter, and he back in the day had the like Blockbuster renting membership thing, so he would get like a free, not a free, but he could rent like one game every week kind of thing, and he would often expend that on a like a easy 100% achievement game. The one I have a very distinct memory of is the Avatar game, Avatar: The Last Airbender, which was like, it was actually kind of a cool game. It was kind of like semi-open world. You go around, but there was 5 achievements in the game, and it was literally just get a 10-hit combo, get a 20-hit combo, 30-hit combo, 40-hit combo, 50-hit combo, and you could do it within 10 minutes of booting up the game. Just go up to the first enemy and do like this perfect combo, get that combo, 100,000 gamer score right there, super easy. And I know there's tons of those games out there that exist. There's even games that just like, that's the whole marketing behind their game, is like, hey, spend $2, easy 1,000 gamer score, easy platinum trophy. And people buy that. People who care about that stuff are really into it. I don't think I'd ever really do that. But yeah, that Avatar one really stood out to me. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of the games that, once again, have really lazy achievement lists that you can just get really, really quickly. They don't even require you to beat the game. Most games have like roll credits, essentially, gives you an achievement, but some don't. And makes it so you can cash in there. Did you ever do that? Did you ever rent a game or borrow a game from someone just to get some easy gamer score?
Oh,
I feel like you have too much honor for that. I feel like you wouldn't feel like you earned it.
yeah, no, the there's no memory that I can pull from where I think I've borrowed a game to do that. Usually, like if I'm getting a game, it's a game that I like, a game I really want to play, and it's got a consistent amount of achievements that I gotta like grind through. You gotta beat the game, and you gotta do extra things, stuff like that. That's kind of my jam. The only dishonorable thing I did was I bought Guitar Hero and had my friend come over and beat the Fire Flames for me.
I mean, I'm definitely guilty of that too, looking at my list and seeing all these Assassin's Creed and Gears games that I have no memory of playing. So I'm sure I got some free gamer score there as well. The last thing I guess wanted to ask is, like, do you think the system is good as it stands? Do you think it like stands up by modern setting? Like, do they need to change or revamp or improve anything, or do you think it's like a perfectly fine system that doesn't really need tweaking? It's like, if it ain't broke it, don't fix it. Where are you at with achievements as a just general system?
I think that they have played around with it, and I think that they need to do something to really motivate people to really get more invested in it. I don't know how this works if it still even does. But a couple years ago, before they changed the Xbox dashboard to what it is now, it was back on the Xbox One, where your achievements had different backgrounds to them. So for Star Wars Battlefront 2, for example, I got a lot of achievements in there. And there were some achievements I really liked. And so I would select those achievements, and then it would give me specific background, like concept art from the game as my wallpaper, as my back, like my console's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
background.
Yeah.
So it was really cool because there was one of like it was like an in-game shot of like Luke Skywalker force pushing and stormtroopers blasting away,
Nice.
and I changed it to where it's like on Kashyyyk and there's a bunch of clone troopers running forward. Like it was really really cool, and those were based on like different achievements that you would unlocked
Oh,
and that you
wow.
could select. I haven't dabbled in it for a while because I've just left it
I
as
feel like
is.
I've never seen that. So either I'm just kind of overlooking it or it's just not really done much these days. But that's a cool feature. I like that a lot.
I'm gonna re-Google it.
Yeah.
Because it was really really neat. Some game developers go through the effort of creating wallpapers that are unlocked with achievements. Yeah, that's on Xbox. They put that in like 4 years ago. Here, I'm gonna show you this share screen here because this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I remember when they announced this. So you can see here he's cycling through his achievements, and like he picks one here with the artwork, Lone Wolf, and you can
Yeah.
choose set as background as you've unlocked the achievement. And then does he back out? Well, no, he's just showing you. But yeah, it sets it as your background. So with all your apps and everything, it'll just be overlaying the background wallpaper. So it's super cool. It's a really, really neat thing.
Yeah, I'm just looking up like I can't really find like just a bullet point list, but yeah, people talking about Halo have a lot of those. I see that someone talking about Battlefront. Sea of Thieves apparently has some cool ones. Doom 2016, that could be interesting. I did play through that. I think I played through that on PC, so I guess I don't have those ones. Rise, Son of Rome apparently has some good. Elden Ring even has some. Okay, so I guess it is still like a modern thing people are still doing. I should really look into that. I should look up see if Midnight Suns has any, because I'm sure I'd have some juicy ones there. So thank you for shouting that out. That's see maybe that's part of it is like just the knowledge of this thing. Like even that system you're talking about there of getting some money. Like I knew that was kind of in there, but I've never really thought about it. So I don't know how they can teach us about these things better. But I feel like they need that integrated into the UI maybe a little bit better. That's cool. I think one thing that has stood out to me is that some games have like the tracker, and then you can enable the tracker so like actually in game it'll like show you a tracker of like your progress on certain things, and then when you go on the UI, the Xbox UI, you can actually go see and like look at like the detailed like how many bonus battles do you need to do in Midnight Suns. I've done 16 and I need to do 20, and that's really cool. But I feel like so few games actually works, whether that's just bugged or I'm guessing it's more that developers have to kind of opt into that and like actually program the game in a way that is like tracking those and then convey that to the Xbox dashboard UI. I'm guessing that's what it is. I don't think it'd be like some AI system that's smart enough to detect. Like for some of them, I could see that, and maybe that's what it is. Like maybe some achievements are like really easy to track in that way, but other ones are like really hard to determine that in a live way. But I just like, and someone who plays a lot of these games and always is kind of keeping an eye on this stuff. Midnight Suns is the only game that I can think of that really had like good tracking on that, and even then, some of those were bugged out and not really working properly, as I mentioned. So I don't know. I feel like the tracker needs to get better. And once again, I don't know if that's on the onus of the developers or if that's an Xbox thing. And I also feel like for a lot of these developers, where Xbox is like a smaller platform than Nintendo or PlayStation, that's like less of a feature that they would care to implement if it's just going to cost them time and money for like very little gain, because not a lot of people care about that. But it's something I would like to see better improved in games, because it's really good in theory when it works.
I feel like Borderlands had something like that.
Okay.
I want to say Borderlands 2 specifically had an in-game tracker for getting your achievements, because I remember
like not like through the
kills or
Xbox
doing
UI,
things.
but like actually built into the game.
Through the actual in-game, yeah. And I really like that concept a lot.
Yeah, because that's essentially what like Spelunky has. now. Like they didn't have it originally, but when the game came out for Switch and they kind of implemented the achievements into that, I think they put it into all the versions. Like they patched it in so you can like see that stuff in game too. So it's cool to have that art implemented into the world as well, rather than just being like that miscellaneous achievement art that comes up there. I think for me, like the one revamp, and I don't know what you want to do because I don't think you want to just copy PlayStation, but I think one thing that's, because like PlayStation has the different tiers like bronze, silver, gold, platinum. Xbox has like this one's worth 10, this one's worth 50, this one's worth 100. But I do feel like there's something that hits way harder about the platinum trophy when you've gotten all the other achievements in PlayStation games, and then you get the platinum at the end. Where I feel like Xbox would benefit from that. You never really have that final moment. Like the last achievement you get could be like the most random little one that is just worth 5 that you hadn't got for some reason, and then that's like, okay, I guess I got it all. But I feel like that's something that could hit a bit harder. And I don't know, maybe there is something implemented in the UI, and I just haven't got 100% achievements in a game in a while. But yeah, I feel like that would be nice if there was some more like nice conclusive finality to it that made it feel a bit better when you actually got like the final achievement and got 100% in the game. So I don't know what they would call that. Like I don't know if they'd call it a different type of achievement, like a golden achievement or something. I don't know. Maybe it would just be tied to a reward, like something like that, like that wallpaper. To be that seems like a great reward for like a platinum level type tier. So I don't know. Maybe some games are already doing that. And once again, I'm just not knowing about it. But I do think it would be nice if the final achievement felt a little bit better, or cooler, or more unique, I guess.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I think that's kind of it that I had to talk about with this. I think it's a fun topic to bring up because it's kind of those things that's just been chugging along for a while, but we don't really like think about it anymore because it kind of becomes like part of the background. But I still like achievements, and I hope they stick around forever. I hope Nintendo adds them on the next console, as I mentioned. I think Steam already has them, PlayStation already has them. I think it just makes sense for Nintendo to do that. I don't think they will because it's Nintendo, but I don't know. I think it'd be really cool for like a Mario game to just see what kind of weird challenge level achievement kind of things they could put in there, just to incentivize people to spend even more time to master these things. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Agreed.
Yeah. Anything else, Taylor, or is that all for today?
That's everything.
Right on. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Next week, or rather this week, throughout the week, is Gamescom is happening. So there's going to be a lot of announcements. I hope some pretty big, juicy announcements. And next week's Sidequest, we will break it all down. So that should be a good time, hopefully. Hopefully get some big, cool things finding out there. And yeah, thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.